Are you ahead of the game? Keep up with the latest news and commentary on markets, regulation, and more. 2 wikis, video content, 7 newsletters, and blogs right at your fingertips. JohnLothianNews.com.
In the aftermath of MF Global, what are the key issues for bankruptcy reform?
The way that the bankruptcy laws and the federal government, meaning the CFTC and the bankruptcy courts and other courts, handle the treatment of customer segregated funds with relation to the creditors, other creditors, is a whole host of issues that go with all of that, and we need industry focus on trying to resolve those problems. There are court cases that have left things uncertain. There's bankruptcy law that's not clear, and government, self-regulatory organizations, industry participants need to collaborate trying to find resolution to a number of those issues. It's an important problem for all of us. It's nobody's particularly responsibility, but it's all of our responsibility.
In a bankruptcy today, how would you compare equities to futures?
People invest in securities and hold those securities. In the case of a future or futures option, it's different in that you have hedgers and funds who have either assumed risk or tried to transfer risk away, where they need access to their funds and their positions as quickly as possible, because we had bankruptcies of firms because they were stuck in some of these bankruptcies. And so that leaves the customers vulnerable, and that means they're not going to have confidence to be in our market unless that is clear as to what happens when there's a bankruptcy with regard to customers getting their money out.
How should the industry address the issue of changing bankruptcy laws?
The CFTC needs to collaborate with the industry, and the industry needs to support the CFTC, because we want all of it. It's in all of our interest to protect the customers. The CFTC has to have an industry to regulate, and we need an industry to all make a living. And that's dependent on the customers. And we have to make sure that the customers' funds are secure. The murkiness of the court decisions that have happened recently, which could give bankruptcy law precedence when it comes to customer funds. The idea being that customer segregated funds are segregated from all of the funds that are available to other creditors. Bankruptcy laws are not used to dealing with. Bankruptcy judges aren't used to dealing with a set of the assets being excluded from what the creditors can go after. And so the Commodity Exchange Act needs to prevail. Therefore, the CFTC needs that jurisdiction, and the industry needs to make sure that we've helped draft all of that language so that we can all get behind it and support it. Not easy, because it's trying to get 12 lawyers in a room to agree on some sort of language. I know it isn't easy, but it's in all of our interest that the customers feel very certain that their assets won't get tied up for a long period of time.
How have regulators in the industry collaborated on developing solutions?
Well, at NFA and CME, we implemented this automated checking of balances every day, and that was a result directly of Commissioner Scott O'Malley's technology committee. That was a concept that came out of that committee, and that forum provides a place where we can get this kind of collaboration between government and industry. And this is one of the results of that. This is a tangible result of his bringing everybody together to discuss issues that are important to the industry. And then NFA and CME went and started to look at building that system ourselves, and then we found a way to outsource that.
Does the industry need an insurance fund?
I, for one, am open to an insurance fund. The problem is, who's going to pay for it? Do the high-frequency guys pay for it? They're deathly afraid that they're going to pay for it and not be really the beneficiaries of it in case there's a bankruptcy, if there's something like a $100,000 cap that maybe could be something that would grow. The same with the large pool participants that have their money with the big bank FCMs that tend to feel like they would not see any benefits from this scheme of covering the smaller retail investors. And the futures industry basically being a professional venue for transferring risk, the retail investors are a relatively small part of the activity on a relative basis. Having said that, That's where a lot of the public confidence comes from. If the smaller investors don't feel like it's safe to put their money into the futures business, and those may be ranchers and farmers or small retail investors, if they're the ones that don't want to play because the industry's not safe, then we all are going to suffer from it.